every step builds on the next step. I'm sure you've realized, when you really find your sweet spot and the thing that lights you up and the thing that you feel like your life story indicates that this is really what you were meant to do. When you find that groove in that track, like you just want to do it. That's all you want to do. Like nothing else really matters.
You are now listening to the Going North podcast with your host, author and speaker, Dom Bregman. And every Monday and Thursday, you're going to hear the voice of a different author share their stories, expertise, and their struggles that they had to overcome in life to leave you inspired to get more out of your life. Be sure to not only listen to this episode, but share with others, connect with the authors, and always advance others to advance yourself. Now let's get on with the show. And today on the Going North podcast, where we bring you ordinary humans doing extraordinary things. And today is no different because this one's another author indeed. But not only an author, we always bring someone who's done more than write a book. Today's special guest author is a soul guide, a fellow podcast host, a shamanic healer. And not only is she also an author, she's an award-winning author with over 20 years of experience in leading by inspiration and a special passion for empowering women to be the artists of their lives. We love artists here on the Going North podcast. This wonderful lady right here, she mentors women to rewrite the story of their lives through inner transformation, connection to essence, remembrance of purpose, and realignment to authenticity and truth. In addition to all those other wonderful things, she's also certified as a warrior goddess facilitator. We have a warrior goddess on the show. Who needs Athena? We got this wonderful lady right here. And not only that, she's also has a 20-year experience as a technical and marketing communications consultant in both Silicon Valley and Austin high-tech communities. And she served in leadership since she began working, most notably serving on the board of Silicon Valley chapter of the Society for Technical Communication, and has also inspired and led over 150 artists, 150, to open their studios in the public as the executive director of the nonprofit Silicon Valley Open Studios in the Bay Area, California, for several years since the early 2000s. So she survived Y2K and is still kicking. And for those who have been living under 18 rocks, you probably know who I'm talking about. Besides reading the episode title, it's the one, the only Kerri Hummingbird. How are you today, ma'am?
Hey, Dom. It's great to be here. I'm doing great today. I'm excited to be here. This is awesome. I love the intro, Warrior Goddess. That's awesome.
Oh, that's right. Who needs a Goddess Athena or Wonder Woman? We got Kerri Hummingbird. That's what I'm talking about.
I just need a lasso now. That's all I need.
That's right. Lasso of truth. It's like, tell me all you know. And then out of nowhere, 30 seconds in, it's like, all right, TMI, all right, I'm letting you go. Get out of here.
But, I can bend rebar with my neck, so that's pretty cool. And I can walk across hot coals that are like 1,300 degrees. So I think that qualifies. It's pretty cool, huh?
That's right. Cooler than 5 cucumbers.
There's the cucumbers again. We got up to 5, though. That's pretty good. It keeps increasing.
Yeah, I got to continue the cucumber joke. Yeah, it's usually 2, but you know what? We'll make it 5. Enough for one hand. We might even make it to 10.
We might get there. We have a little time together right now. We could potentially make that happen. You get all the way to 10.
Oh, yeah, just wake up on random nights like, why is this random cucumber in my bed? And then you, go out the house and it's like a cucumber falling out the sky. It's like, all right, this is strange. He spoke too many cucumbers into existence.
He's manifesting cucumbers.
That's right. Yes, indeed. That's right. You're the soul guide. I'm the cucumber guide.
Well, yeah. So I like to guide souls because they're conscious and alert. And I'm not really sure what it's like guiding cucumbers, but sure you can fill us in on that one. But I like to guide souls. I think like awake, conscious beings of light walking around in a human suit on the planet are pretty awesome. They have a lot of things to offer the world, and it's fun to have conversations with them and figure out what they think is going on. Apparently for you, it's all about the cucumbers.
Yep, that's right. Green everywhere. The vegans love me.
Vegans. And you're in Maryland, aren't you? So do you have vegans up there? Are there vegans in Maryland?
Oh yeah, it grows. Yeah. We plenty of vegans, plenty of Whole Foods, and even a few Trader Joe's. No, they're not Benedict Arnold's and Trader Joe's, but yeah, we do.
That's a good one. So in Austin, we have tons of vegans. It's it's changed a lot since I moved here in 2005. It's definitely very conscious. Lots of people doing different kinds of modalities of healing and yoga and Reiki and you name it. It's going on in Austin. So it's like a little mecca. It's kind of fun to be here. But it's good to know that vegan is, elsewhere too.
Oh yeah, especially those are bank accounts. That's where the vegans love to be. At least that's where the greenbacks are, right?
Yeah, you got to have lots of greens. Lots of greens for your diet there, Dom.
That's right. Definitely got to keep it high. That's right, in more ways than one. Well, speaking of more ways than one, you're a two-time author. And the beautiful thing is you got two wonderful books, and one is Awakening to Me, and then the other one's From We to Me. So what inspired you to become a two-time author? Heck, an award-winning two-time author.
Well, the first book is Awakening to Me, and that book, I got one of those messages from God. I don't know if you've had one of those messages, but those messages come and they're sort of like, you're going to do this. Okay, sure. So my job was to write the story of my recovery from just the dark hole I'd gotten myself in, a dark tunnel, and I was starting my journey of healing, and I was learning a lot of things about walking the beauty way, walking life hand in hand with spirit. And God said, okay, you're going to write this book, and you're going to chart the course out of madness. So I started writing the book. And so I wrote the book as I went along on my healing journey, and things would come up in my life, and I'd realize, oh, that needs to go in the book. And so I'd put it in the book. And some things came up, and I didn't want to put it in the book, and then I got another one of those nudges that said, you're putting that in the book. And so I would very grumpily add it to the book. So it took me like 2 years to go through the whole process, and I kept trying to end that book because the goal of the book was to, when I got to self-love, then I would know that I could stop the book. And I kept thinking I was at self-love, and then I kept realizing there was more. So it took me a good 2 years to end that book, and I got this message like, okay, it's complete, and now you need to publish the book, and you need to publish it in a week. And I thought, after all this time, I've been working on this book. I wanted to end this book. I keep having to work on it. And now all of a sudden it's like, you need to wrap it up in a week? What's that about? So I just did it. I did all the artwork. I did the cover design. I completed everything. I got it ready for publishing. I published it on Amazon. And then next day, after I kind of sweat on the brow, like, whew, that was a lot of work. I'm like, why in the heck did I have to do that so quick? The next day, I'm looking at my phone, and I see that there is a competition. The deadline is that day.
Oh, wow.
for this Indie Spiritual Book Awards competition. So I entered the book, and I got best in category. So, like, okay, I guess Spirit has a plan, and you just follow along and get the message and do what you're told, and then it all works out. So that was my first award for that book, and then subsequently I've gotten another 3 or 4 awards for that book. So it's very vulnerable and transparent, and I think people appreciate that when you're telling the truth and when you're not trying to, look perfect or, but you're really sharing your heart. You're sharing the journey, and people really appreciate that is what I've been told. They really can identify with it, and there's a lot of self-help tips in there, and people say that they read the book again and again because they're working their way out of the madness. It's sort of helpful to have a guide. So that was that first book, and it was powerful. It was the fiction that was evolving as my life was actually happening. So it was pretty interesting to write a book that way.
Oh, yeah, basically like a journal in a way, at least a published one.
Yeah, kind of like a journal, right? Yeah, like processing your life. And except I knew it had to be published, and so I did. And then the second book was From We to Me, and that book is more expository, so it's really more reflections about the process of recovering after a divorce, which is a pretty difficult experience. And I had been married for 20 years to somebody that I really cared about. And during the course of recovering from that, and then starting to date again and starting to find my own voice and my own, what do I like? Who do I want to become? Who do I really feel like I am after all of that experience? Those are all the things that went into the book. So it's really just more spiritual reflection, expository writing, rather than like a story that's unfolding. But a lot of people also find that book really helpful if they're on that journey trying to recover their identity and figure out what's going on after a divorce, it's a lot. It's a big journey.
A huge journey indeed. Huge journey indeed. And I believe you have a third book in the works, right?
Yeah, I have another book that's coming out. It's called The Second Wave, Transcending the Human Drama. And this book is a little different in that it's a channeled text. So that means that I sat and wrote it, typed it, and allowed Spirit to flow through me into the book, onto the pages, without thinking about it, just allowing the words to come out as they needed to come out without analyzing it or thinking about it. And it's something that I do now because of all the changes in my life over the last 8 years and all the training I've received in energy medicine and spiritual counseling and things like that. What's happened is that I've opened up this channel within myself that I can actually start speaking words that people need to hear from God, Source, Creator, and they just come out, and it's exactly what the person needs to hear. And I do it naturally when I'm on the phone with somebody or when I'm in a group. I'll just sort of open up that channel and start speaking, but I'm not thinking about what to say. I'm just speaking what needs to be said that's coming through. And so this is the first time I ever did that by typing on a book. I hadn't done that before. So it was really interesting process to allow that to happen without controlling it and without thinking about it, and really attempting to sit and read what just came out, and not to do that because that disrupts the flow. So that was a really interesting process to go through, and it was very fulfilling. So a lot of the things in the book were things that I've already been being taught and shown by my higher guidance, but some of the things were new for me, and they were things I'm still working on being better at and doing a better job at. So I think it's a really powerful book to people that have read it, and that formally publishes on the 27th of July. So we're in a pre-order stage right now.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Pre-order, that's right. Some Law and Order, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So I think a lot of your audience, are they interested in writing books and things like that, or
Oh yeah, who wants to lift a book? You got to write a book.
you have to write it? There's only one way. It's right.
That's right. Woo! So it sounds like to me, so I guess the first two books were under a certain style. I guess you traditionally wrote them from pen to paper, then typed them, and this one was a complete channeled writing process where you actually typed up the words. So have you looked back at any of the text released for this upcoming book at all, or?
Oh yeah, I've read it after the fact. Yeah, I've read it after the fact, and I actually some of my reviewers, because when you write a book, then you want to have endorsers. You want to have people that go through and read the book, people that are thought leaders or that have impact. You want to have them read the book and then give an endorsement for the book. And so I shared the book with a number of people, and one of the people that I shared it with, she said, Kerri, it was almost like it's a run-on. It's like so many nuggets of gold in there, and it just after nugget after nugget after nugget, and you could just skip right over the nugget if you're not careful, because there's so much in there, and it's almost like you need to call out the bigger moments, like in some kind of big graphic display or something, like pay attention to this line, which I didn't do because I just channeled it. So I basically giving everybody the raw material for what was created through me. And then probably at some point I'll go back through and do what my friend suggested and pull out the key points that are sort of hidden inside these sections, where it's a lot to digest, it's a lot to think about. And so there's a lot of unpacking that could be done with the content that I channeled. So I'm excited about that part, because I think that people will, the people that are really ready will get a lot out of it, and the people who are wanting to be ready and then beginning, they'll get what they get, and then they can go back to it again and get more. So it feels like that kind of text that people can get multiple layers out of it.
That's right. Onion swag right there. Multiple layers.
Yes. Multiple layers. Lots of onion peels.
That's right. Onion peels. Yes, indeed. That's right. Won't even need a cucumber for an onion.
Did I get another cucumber with the onion peels?
Yeah, we won't even need it this time.
No, okay.
Oh, man. Yeah. I think we just stumbled onto the new podcast game. One podcast episode mentioned pumpkin spice. I think the cucumber is going to be the reference for this one.
Yeah. I feel like I'm playing a video game, and I need to make sure that I hit enough points so I can get another cucumber. It's like I'm being scored.
Oh man! Speaking of video games and levels, what inspired the title Second Wave? Because this is your third book, so what inspired the title?
So this is a little far out for some people, but there's an author and a woman, Dolores Cannon, who did this deep hypnotherapy with thousands of people. And in the deep hypnotherapy sessions, she would then ask them a bunch of questions. So she kind of was like a scientist and took a lot of data from these people as they were getting past life regression healing. And what they kept talking about was that there was this thing called that they were either part of a first wave, a second wave, or a third wave, and that they were volunteers. So they're volunteers that came to the planet, to Earth, to help humanity to rise up. And as you can look around you in the world today, maybe you might notice that there's some lifting that needs to be done. That the planet is kind of in a place where we need to be making some better decisions, and we need to have a higher level of consciousness in our choices, and we need to get along better. And so the second wave is a group of volunteers, the second group of volunteers that came in, and unbeknownst to them, because they probably had earth amnesia, it's like you forget who you really are. It's kind of like when you come here and you get in a body, you only think that you're just this thing for a long time. You just think you're, whatever your name is, you think you're Dom, and you think that's all you are until something happens to wake you up. And so that's what this book really is about, is reassuring the people who woke up and think they're crazy because they're like, I don't really think I'm from here. I'm not really sure what I'm doing here. This place is really awful. People are terrible. And I don't want to be here anymore. And there's a lot of people in that camp that feel that way. And so this book is really to help them to feel like, wait a second, you're not crazy. You did come here. You're really not from here. You came here to help. And yeah, humanity really needs a lot of help. So that's what we're here to do. We're here to help raise up the consciousness. So that is really why it's called the second wave. It's because written for the people in the second wave. And the people who are in that, they kind of feel like there's something there they should know about. And so that's why it's titled the way it is. It's like a code that their soul knows that they'll be more interested in picking up the title.
All right. Good. So it's not two hands waving. That's good to know. Good to know indeed.
Here's a really fun thing about synchronicity of human consciousness. So the second wave is really about, there's this legend of the Rainbow Warriors, and this is an indigenous legend. And so the indigenous legend is that when the ego people, which are the people that use their brains, and the people that are not connected with their hearts, when those people have pretty much depleted most of the Earth's resources, there'll be a time of great shift. And they will reunite with the Condor people, and the Condor people are the people that are coming from their heart. And so this would be the indigenous people and the people from some countries where, people are more connected with their heart. So the eagle and the condor come together, and that's when the Rainbow Warriors come, and they help to shift the planet. So this is part of old legend that's being passed down for centuries. So what's happening now is that in fashion, my friend is a fashion editor in LA, and he says people cannot get enough of rainbows. It's like rainbows all over everything. Rainbows on these clothes, rainbows on that. And they want to buy the fashion with the rainbows everywhere. And isn't that funny? Because that is exactly what is happening right now, is that we are bringing back the rainbow. We're bringing back this, potential, and we're bringing it back through the Rainbow Warriors, and people just, without even knowing it, are craving rainbow. It's like they can't get enough rainbow. So it's just kind of funny how these things overlap with these old legends that have been told for a really long time. It's the power of story passed down, through humanity, through all these lineages.
Yes, indeed. And that's how we got knowledge. So the eagles, the condors, is there a hummingbird group somewhere?
Well, I am a hummingbird. Hummingbirds are the messengers. So the hummingbird in cosmology is a messenger of spirit. So in Peru, you're probably aware of Machu Picchu in Peru. And Machu Picchu is actually formed in the shape of a hummingbird. When you look at it from an aerial perspective, you look down on it, it is in the shape of a hummingbird. And that's because the Q'ero people who built Machu Picchu, they understand that hummingbird is a messenger from spirit. And so it's part of their tradition. So they honor the hummingbird and they honor the condor. If you look at lineages from North America, indigenous lineages, they honor the eagle. So it's interesting how all of these stories have been told for so long. It's kind of like the Mayan calendar. The Mayan calendar predicted that we would have a shift in consciousness in 2012, and indeed we did. things have really shifted since 2012. At first, people thought, oh, the planet's going to end. It's like, no, it's not ending. But if you look back from now to 2012, you can see how everything has radically shifted in the way people think about each other, and the way that they think about who they are has completely changed.
Oh, yeah, you're definitely right about that.
Right?
Yeah, 2012, that was one heck of a year for some people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, big year, like lots of disruption, right? So people might say, oh, well, then how come it's so violent, or how come it's so dark, or how come we're seeing like all these horrible things in our government? And well, that's because, you know, in order for things to change, there has to be disruption. You know, it's just sort of the natural process of things. There's, you know, the forest burns down and then it grows back again. The new seedlings actually grow back stronger in a forest that is burned down. So you're seeing that right now. We're seeing all the structures burning down and collapsing. And then people feel like really unsettled, like, what do I do now? Because I can't keep doing what I was doing because it doesn't feel good and it's not right. I got to change. So that's really what's happening now, is that we're in the middle of a big change, huge. Everything is changing. So it can feel kind of like the whole world is falling apart, and indeed it is, but then it's going to fall together in a better way. Kind of like any time in your life where you've had a big disruption, like a divorce or something like that, everything falls apart, but then it falls together in a better way in your life. After all that destruction, everything falls back together in a better way. And you get repositioned and realigned so that you can have greater happiness. And that's what's going to happen on the planet. It's just that it's a global scale, so it seems really overwhelming, all the things that are happening, if you looked at the whole picture.
Yes, indeed, the whole painting. That's right, the whole giant painting.
You got to step back. You got to step back to see the painting, right? If you're up close working on the painting, you're just looking at the little details. You can't see. So you got to step back to see the whole thing, or you've got to rise up to look at the bigger picture. And these legends and stories that have been told by people that could foresee this happening, these are the stories that help us to make sense. The mythic helps us to make sense of what's happening right now.
I guess it's probably the fact that some folks are probably fighting against it in a way. This is probably causing a lot of the chaos and the confusion.
Yeah, well, because, you know, there's a lot of things that are happening that are showing us that dark underbelly of the human consciousness, or, you know, a lot of things are happening in the United States, for example, that illustrate patterns that have been going on since the founding of this country that are not good, but people have sort of, you know, swept it under the rug or tried to forget about it. And now it's so blatant that you can't just sweep it under the rug and just forget about it. Like, you actually have to speak to it. You have to do something about it. You have to make a change. You know, even just talking about, there's really simple things like companies being very, like commerce being the only thing that people are thinking about. And like the plastic, for example, plastic being one use, you know, just to make it easy so people buy more, consumerism. But then all the plastic going into the oceans and killing the sea turtles, well, eventually that's just not okay. You know, it's gotten into the ecosystem. It's down into the algae that the whales are eating. You know, lots of animals, dolphins are dying, getting trapped up in all this plastic. And so now what do we have? Now we have actually millennials and people like you that are doing something about it. Like, they're creating a shift. They're saying this isn't okay anymore. It's not sustainable and it needs to change. So now we have, I saw this other day on Facebook, we have 6-packs. You know, we have a 6-pack of beer, how it has like the plastic that holds the 6-pack together. Well, now they've made some made of algae. So if and when it gets into the ocean, it will be food for the wildlife in the ocean and help them rather than be a detriment. So it's that kind of thinking that's going to be spurred by the disastrousness that people are looking at, because it's so awful. They can't just keep letting it happen. They have to do something about it to make a change. They have to invent something new to make it work for the environment. So part of the reason why it gets so intense and so awful is so that it'll activate people to actually get off their butts and go do something about it.
Heck yeah. And would you consider yourself a commander of helping folks to do that since you're a warrior goddess?
Well, yes, in a way. My role is to get out there and encourage people who have been awake but feeling like nothing they say is getting through to the people around them, to encourage them to stand up and get bigger and use their voice and activate the people around them to make a change, and, to not be afraid anymore, to not hide. So that's really my job, is to help other people activate the purpose within them so that more of us are actually living our purpose and speaking our truth and standing up and making a change. Because it's going to take a lot of us working together to create the shift.
Oh, yeah. That's right, indeed. That's right. Better together. Heck, even better together.
Much better together. Or ghee. Did I say ghee or glee?
I feel like you said ghee, but we'll go with glee. You probably sing too, don't you?
I do. I do sing. I sing healing songs. I do. I'm in Glee Club. I used to be in Glee Club at school. Yeah. I like singing is a good thing, Dom, Singing activates your heart and your voice. And it can be like a prayer, when you sing a nice song, like a good uplifting song, you're creating that vibration in the world around you, and it's resonating and it's feeling good. So I think we should all be singing good stuff.
That's right. Rick Astley's never going to give you up. That's right. Everybody at the same time. That's right.
Everybody sing together now.
That's right. Yes, indeed. And that has to do with leadership as well. So just backtracking a bit, what led you to really getting into the whole self-discovery thing? Was it like the year 2012 where you had a big transformational experience where it's like, yeah, I'm helping all these folks out in Silicon Valley with all this technology and whatnot, and now I'm just in my divine purpose? Like, what led to that?
Well, so 2011 is when I walked out of my 20-year marriage. And it was because things had gotten really dark and shadowy, and I had been going to psychotherapy for a couple of decades at this point, trying to fix myself, and it wasn't getting the result that I thought it should be. And so it's kind of like the tools that I was using weren't really working, and the relationship I was in was not supporting the next level that I needed to go to. And so what ended up happening is I sort of impetuously left, and pretty soon, in about 5 months, I met my first spiritual mentor, and I'd never done anything spirituality before. I didn't go to church. I wasn't raised in that. I didn't have any access to any kind of spiritual teachings. So when I left my former marriage, within about 5 months, I met my first spiritual mentor, and then I got another spiritual mentor who was a shaman locally in Austin, and I had a healing, and I never had a spiritual healing before. And I was different in 45 minutes. I was completely changed. Not that was the one solution, but that I had a marked difference in myself. And never in my 20-some-odd years of going to psychotherapy did I have a marked difference in myself after an hour of psychotherapy. So that to me was significant. And I thought, whatever the heck that is, it works, and I'm going to do that. So I decided to become an expert in it, and I started studying it. And that's really what led to my transformation in my life, because I found that moment of something that actually worked to relieve the pain that I was feeling, and I decided I was going to learn it. And so I opened up to whatever would let me learn that thing, and I ended up getting directed to the Four Winds Society that has energy medicine training. It's called the Light Body School, and it's a very in-depth training, personal spirituality and energy healing for other people, for yourself and others. So I started that school, and I completed my training over the course of 2 years. And simultaneously, I studied to be a warrior goddess. And so I had 2 trainings going on simultaneously, one in Austin and one with the Four Winds. And I radically shifted my life and my perspective and my thoughts about myself over the course of that time. So that's really that personal journey, that personal pain point is what led me to want to do something about it once I found a cure, once I found something that helped alleviate the pain. Then I really wanted to do that for other people. And so that's what I've been doing. Ever since I found it, I've been learning it for myself, healing myself, and then stepping out to teach others. And now I'm going to be heading out in a bigger way. So it just, every step builds on the next step. I'm sure you've realized, when you really find your sweet spot and the thing that lights you up and the thing that you feel like your life story indicates that this is really what you were meant to do. When you find that groove in that track, like you just want to do it. That's all you want to do. Like nothing else really matters. So that's the track I've been on, and now I help people to walk steps along the journey that I have already walked. I guide them to find their own way through it. And I like to help people to find their own channel and tune into their station so they can get whatever they need direct from source without going through anybody else. They can go direct and they can find out everything they need to know from their version of God, Source, Creator, Universe, whatever their word is. I like to help people find that pathway. And once they're on it, they can have the journey that was meant for them, which is what we're all looking for. We're all looking for that connection to what we're here to do. Not what like the next door neighbor is here to figure out, but what we're here to do.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. No hello neighbor here. That's right.
Let your neighbor do what they need to do, and you focus on yourself. Yeah, exactly.
That's right. That's right. And do what you need to do, indeed. And this led you to starting a podcast, the Soul Nectar Show. So what led you to start that as part of the additions on top of the 53 other things you're doing?
Well, it was a great spirit again, said, hey, now you're going to start a podcast. I'm like, okay, what's it going to be called? Soul Nectar Show? All right, cool. And so really what we have on that show is I have conversations with people about connection to essence. I talk to them about what was the pivotal moment in their own life that they realized there was something bigger that was possible for them, or they realized that there was a larger presence in their life that they wanted to connect with, or they had a big spiritual lesson. They had a big moment where they took a right-hand turn. Those are the kind of conversations that I like to have on Soul Nectar Show, because I feel like those conversations, they really open it up for people to have that journey for themselves, or to validate that part of the journey that they're already having, that they're doubting or questioning because somebody around them isn't having exactly the same experience. So I like to have those conversations, and they go wherever they go. I don't bound them. I let them be guided, and so whatever resonates when I'm talking with the person that I'm interviewing, that's where we go. We talk about whatever that thread is. And usually it's pretty fascinating. We go down some rabbit holes, and it's really fun. It's like a little bit of exploration of a lot of things, a lot of fascinating topics.
Yes, indeed. That's right. Rabbit holes, indeed. Bet some of the rabbits are named Tracy, too.
Or, yeah, that's the sexy rabbit.
Funny enough.
I was thinking of Alice in Wonderland, actually, but, a little more wholesome, I think. So, I like my
Wholesome in the rabbit hole.
There's a lot of really interesting things happening down there in that rabbit hole. There is.
Oh, man. Funny enough, we had a guest here a while back named Tracy Maxfield with a book called Escaping the Rabbit Hole, so I was like, yeah, I'd make a bad reference here. Although she's an awesome human, though.
She does mental health stuff. Yeah, I've actually heard of her. Mm-hmm.
Yes, indeed. He did say the sexy rabbit, so I'll just leave that out there.
Oh, maybe I was thinking of Jessica Rabbit. There's a cartoon character, Jessica Rabbit.
Oh, her too. Let me stop.
Yeah, that one. Now you got the visual.
Oh, no, I got two visuals now. Well, anyways, in addition to the podcast, I'm pretty sure there's more that awaits in terms of the book. So what is next for the wonderful heights that you're looking to soar?
Well, so I'm going to publish my book on July 27th, and then I'm going to go on a book tour, and I'm going to meet people in person, and we're going to do drum journey meditation. Do you know what that is?
Well, it sounds familiar, but enlighten me.
Okay, so drum journey meditation is where the beat of the drum is actually helps your brain to relax from beta state, which is the busy, active, thinking brain, into alpha state. And alpha state is more like dreaming state. It's more your mind is more open to receive imagination and inspiration and connection. And from the alpha state, you can actually open a little portal to connect with God, Source, Spirit, Creator. It's the space where you can dream and you can have a vision or information come to you that you need resolution on if you have a question or something like that. So I'll be leading drum journey meditations to help people to open that little doorway and have maybe their first conversation directly with the divine. So it's pretty special. I enjoy doing it, and people are always amazed at the profound message or insight that they receive about themselves during those journeys. So I really consider it to be sacred work, and it's amazing what happens to the drum when I'm drumming. A lot of times people hear flute playing or people singing or all kinds of things. And I'm just drumming. There's only a drum. So all those other sounds come out of the drum. They come out of the ceremony. And so I'll be hosting book signings with the drum journey so people can experience that and doing a little channeled talk. And then if they want to, get a book signed by Kerri Hummingbird, they can get one. Otherwise, we'll just have a really good journey together.
That's what I'm talking about right there, DJ Kerri. That's what I'm talking about. Ain't talking about no disc jockey either. Talking about drum journey Kerri. That's what I'm talking about.
It's awesome, right?
That's right. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. About to open all sorts of worlds with that one.
There's a lot of worlds to explore. Yeah, a lot of worlds. Well, everybody's ancestors had a drum. Like everybody, if you go back far enough, you have an ancestor with a drum. So it's just one of those things that we all share. We all share that ancestry of. We all share the ancestry of gathering around the campfire and telling stories, and we all share the ancestry of drums. It's just part of our history.
That's right. Rich history indeed. That's right. Some goes in the books, some stay embedded in the soul.
It's just kind of cool because during the drum journey, people can also get reconnected with their ancestors and linked back up into that ancestral support. And that can be a huge asset, as people are going along their lives, because we live in a world now where things have been very fragmented, So people might not have, right now at this moment, feel like they have access to their ancestry support. But through this sort of process, through these journeys, you can reclaim that for yourself, and then you can live your life knowing that you have this support every single day. And that's a game changer, when you really realize that you have that kind of love and support around you all the time, even if you weren't aware of it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Who needs Ancestry.com now? That's what I'm talking about. Come to one of Kerri's book signings, baby. Go on a drum journey.
Drum journey, yeah.
That's right.
Meet your ancestors beyond the veil.
That's right. Yes, indeed. The drum major's got you covered like a blanket. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's true. They often cover up with their blankies. It's like a little nap time. It's really sweet, actually. So sweet.
Yeah. Yep, silly Billy Goat swag. Well, at least for me anyway. So, a question I like to ask every guest, and that is if you were to wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but this time in the current year of 2019 with all of your knowledge and experience, what advice would you give to yourself?
What advice I would give to myself is to tune into my own station and take my own journey and enjoy life every single day, and don't let anybody naysay your dreams. Go for your dreams. Doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. Live your dreams.
Sweet. I hope one of those dreams had a turban.
Well,
or involved a turban.
I think it involves a genie in a bottle. And letting the genie out.
So I'm guessing you're the genie folks are dreaming about, huh?
I am the genie. I am the genie you've been waiting for. With rainbow hummingbirds. And a drum.
There we go.
If that's not a visual, I don't know what is.
That's right. It's the special K we've been waiting for. Forget Kellogg's, baby. It's about Kerri.
It is. It's all about Kerri. We're going to take a journey, and it's all going to be about you on the journey, and that's pretty cool.
That's right. Cooler than 6 cucumbers, right?
See? I made 6. I thought I would get further. I got 6, though.
So it was like Pee Wee Herman's show. I was like, oh, you say the magic word.
It's the magic word. Say it. Give me another one. You know I earned it.
Yeah, man. Yep. That's right. Oh, man. Good times indeed. Good times indeed. Well, for those who want to be cooler than 7 lucky cucumbers and keep up with all that you're doing, what's the best way to reach out to you?
Yeah, so if they're intrigued by the new title, The Second Wave, then they can go to the website and get the first chapter and a meditation to guide them to determine if they're part of the second wave. And that's at www.thesecondwave, all spelled out, .media, MEDIA, because I could not get .com because it was taken. So I have .media. It's important to remember that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. .media, baby. They're like
.media. We have so many dot stuff, dot everything now. So there's all these options. So I chose .media.
Heck yeah. Heck, there's probably going to be a Kerri Hummingbird.vip out there somewhere, right?
Probably. Although I don't have that domain.
Snag it now for no reason.
I know. Get it away from her.
It's like, hey, I'm going to be Kerri Condor. I'm going to be Kerri Hummingbird.vip. And he's like, yeah, you go to Kerri Hummingbird.vip. Nope, I'm the Condor. Jackie Chan is here, too. It's Operation Condor, baby. That's right. Yes.
It is. But it's cooler.
Oh, yeah. Cooler than 10 cucumbers.
See, I knew I'd get there. I just hopped, skipped, and jumped all the way from 7 to 10 in 1 minute.
Oh, man. I'll probably make this a meme.
Ah.
Hey there, you superstar. Thanks a bunch for making it this far in the podcast. Hope you really enjoyed it. Heck, if you made it this far, that means you really enjoyed it. Be sure to shoot the guest an email or head over to the social media pages and leave them a nice response that you heard them on the Going North podcast, so that way they can continue to be inspired to do great things. And be sure to share this podcast with others that you think would enjoy it as well, because we want to inspire as many people as possible to live their dreams, embrace them, and to do something positive.